The first ratio for profitability that we use is gross margin ratio. And how do we calculate the gross margin ratio? We calculate the gross margin ratio simply by taking the gross margin and divided by sales. And that's your gross margin. I'm sure, friends, you would remember from our discussion of day one how to calculate the gross margin. So, revenue from the sale of the products and the services minus the cost of sales and all those different components of cost of sales put together. So from the revenue minus the cost of sales, the difference is your gross margin, and the gross margin divided by the sales into 100 gives us the gross margin ratio. Now please remember, some people call it gross margin, we call it gross margin ratio. Some people call it as gross profit ratio. Some people call it as gross profit ratio, gross profit margin ratio, gross valuation ratio, gross value addition ratio. So these are the different terms which are used to identify the same KPI, and that is gross profit ratio. Now we need to understand one thing here as to what does the gross margin ratio really indicate. Would somebody like to tell me, anyone from you, as to what does the gross profit ratio of a company signify?
how the operations are doing,
How the operations are doing? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. And
how much value is being added,
how much value has been added? Yes, of course. And
marketing efficiency,
marketing efficiency. Okay, marketing efficiency. Yes, of course. Very
We
good.
are in a position to tell with what is called high profit margin.
High profit margin. Now, friends, let me add something to what all of you have said. Gross profit ratio, remember, is an indicator of industry attractiveness. Gross profit ratio is an indicator of industry attractiveness. Now, why gross profit ratio is an indicator of industry attractiveness? And that is because when will the gross margin ratio high? Let's understand this. When the gross margin ratio will be high, the gross margin ratio will be high under two situations. Situation number one, when the selling price is good, when the selling price is good, and number two, when the cost of material is less. So if a company is having a very high gross margin ratio, what does it indicate? It indicates, number one, that the company is able to command a good selling price, and number two, company's manufacturing expenses and company's raw material cost is much too less. And for any industry where the selling price is good and the cost of manufacturing is less, that means that industry is a very attractive industry. And that is how you would look at the gross margin ratio. I'm sure, friends, a question must be coming in the minds of every one of you. And that question is there any ideal gross margin ratio? Is there something, a bench, an ideal gross profit ratio? So that, if my company's gross margin ratio is so much, I can say that this company is doing good. So the question that must be coming in the minds of every one of you is how to judge performance of a company based on the gross margin ratio. Now let me tell you, friends, globally there is nothing called ideal gross margin ratio. And why there is no ideal gross margin ratio? And that is because across the globe, in different geographies, there are different industries, and within those different industries there are different companies. So the products are different, services are different, the age of a company is different, the product life cycle is different, industry life cycles are different, and therefore there is nothing called an ideal gross profit ratio. So then the second question that can come to your mind is that if there is nothing called as ideal gross profit ratio, then how do I figure out whether my company is doing well or my company is not doing well? So now for that, friends, you have four ways to ascertain as to how my company has done. Number one, number one is compare your gross margin ratio with the gross margin ratio of your competitor. So that is number one. So if the gross margin ratio of our company is greater than the gross margin ratio of our competitor, that means we are doing better than our competitor. So that is number one. Number two, what we can do is we can compare our numbers with the industry averages across the globe, across the countries, across the geographies. There are business associations of different industry associations, and what these industry associations do, they compile the benchmark numbers for that particular industry. So I'm sure it would be the case with our company as well. So somebody would have compiled as to what is the norm of the gross margin for a mining company, right? So what we can do, we can compare our gross margin ratio with the industry average. So if our gross margin ratio is higher than the industry average, that means we are doing better than the industry. And this is how we figure out and find out and evaluate our own performance. That's number two. Number three, what we can do, we can compare gross margin ratio of our company of this year with the gross margin ratio of our company of last year. And this is how we can figure out as to how we have done in the current year. So if the current year's gross profit gross margin ratio is, let's say, 20%, and last year the gross margin ratio, let's say, was 17%, that means this year our gross margin ratio is higher by 3%. That means this year company has done much better than the last year. So this is the third way to find out as to how is the performance of the company. And number four, what we can do as an organization, as a company, what we also do every year before the beginning of the financial year, we have the system of making a budget. So we must have made a budget for the year 2021. Now what we need to do, we need to see as to what is my actual gross margin ratio as of now in 2021. Let's say that figure is coming to 20%, and what I do, I compare this figure of 20% with the budgeted gross margin ratio. So when the company would have made the budget, they must have also found out as to how much is going to be the gross margin of the company for the year 2021. Now, if that gross profit ratio that was budgeted, gross margin ratio that was budgeted was 18%, and in actual we are attaining is 20%, that means we as a company have done better than what we had budgeted. So these are the four ways in which we can find out as to how is the company's actual performance, or how is the company doing vis-a-vis the competitor, or how is the company doing in comparison to the industry, or how the company is doing in comparison to the last year's performance. Now please remember, these four benchmarks that I have explained to you in the context of gross margin ratio, these four situations or these four benchmarks are applicable to every other ratio also. So if you want to find out how is the current ratio of our company, we can do the same thing. So we can compare the current ratio of our company with our competitor. We can compare the current ratio of our company with the industry average. We can compare the current ratio of our company with our last year's current ratio, and we can compare the current ratio of our company with the budgeted current ratio. And this is how we can figure out as to how is the current ratio, how we have done as a company as far as the current ratio is concerned. And please remember, these four methods of benchmarking are applicable to every other ratio that we are going to discuss as we move forward. So that's your gross margin ratio. And remember, gross margin ratio is also an indicator of how the company has done, how the industry attractiveness, right? So the gross margin ratio is also an indicator of attractiveness of the industry. Now this is looking at the profitability from the perspective of sales. If we have to look at the profitability from the perspective of the people who have given the capital to the company, isn't it? As I was telling you in the beginning, as a company, we also need to find out as to what kind of return we are giving to the people who are giving us the capital. So there are two ratios that we can calculate for this purpose. The number one is a return on equity ratio, ROE. I'm sure you must have heard this term many times. So ROE is return on equity. And how do we calculate return on equity? Again, it's very simple. Net income. And remember, from where you get this figure? You get this figure from the income statement. So this net income figure is in the bottom of the income statement. So take the net income divided by the equity. And what is the equity? Equity is the shareholders' funds. And where do you get this figure of equity in the balance sheet? I'm sure all of you would remember, but just for the benefit, the figure of shareholders' fund you will get in the liability side of the balance sheet. So what you do, take the net income divided by the equity, and that will give you a return on equity. That means this is the, and into 100. So if this ratio is coming, let's say 10%, that means this company is giving a return of 10% to its equity share capital provider, right? Isn't it? So if the return on equity ratio is coming to 10%, it indicates that this company is giving a return of 10% to the shareholders on the capital that they have deployed into the business. And obviously, as a shareholder, what would you like? As a shareholder, number one, you would like this ratio to be as high as possible, isn't it? Of course, as a shareholder, that is what you would like, number one. And number two, what you would also like as a shareholder, that this ratio not only should be as high as possible, but this ratio should also progressively be increasing year after year. So if that is what is happening, and that will give you satisfaction as a shareholder, because then it lets you know that this company where I have invested my money is earning good return for me. So that's ratio number one. Ratio number two is the return on capital employed, and that is ROCE. ROCE. Return on capital employed is ROCE, and that is ROCE. How to calculate the ROCE? In the numerator, you take the current operating income. In the numerator, you take the current operating income. And I'm sure you would recollect how to find out the current operating income. The current operating income figure is available to you in the income statement. And why I'm mentioning this thing at this point in time? Because after our discussion, you will be calculating many of these ratios by yourself in the group, of course. And that time, I'm sure this input would help you to figure out as to where to get this figure. So that's your current operating income is available to you in the income statement. And you divided it by the capital employed. And I'm sure this question must be coming to your mind, how to figure out the amount of capital employed. So how to find out the amount of capital employed? And our answer, of course, is very simple. Net fixed assets. So you go to the balance sheet, and in the balance sheet you will have the non-current assets. So the total of non-current assets that you find in the balance sheet is nothing but your net fixed assets. And remember, those figures which are given in the balance sheet that you have that you will look at are already after depreciation, right? Are already after depreciation. So take the figure of non-current assets, and remember, non-current assets is same as the net fixed net fixed assets which are given in the balance sheet, plus operating working capital. And I'm sure you will remember what is operating working capital from our discussion of day 2. Operating working capital is total of receivables plus inventories minus the payables, and that's your operating working capital. So how to find out the amount of capital employed? Net fixed assets plus operating working capital, and that will give you your capital employed. And how to calculate the ROCE? So take the figure of current operating income divided by the capital employed, and that will give you ROCE, return on capital employed. Need I mention, this figure has to be as high as possible. And why this figure has to be as high as possible? Because only when your ROCE is very high, outsiders whether shareholders or lenders would be willing to put their money into your business, isn't it? So only when the ROCE of a company is very high, the lenders would be willing to lend money to this company, and the shareholders will be willing to put more money into this company. And why is that so? Because if ROCE is high, that means lenders as well as the shareholders will have the confidence that this company is going to generate good return for me, and that's your return on capital employed. So before I go to the next one, and that is activity ratio, open to all of you. Any question, please?